Crane Realty. I'm going to talk to you today about seller's concessions and explain what they are and how they can help or not help depending on your situation and what that means for you. So a lot of you haven't even heard the term seller's concessions and you don't know what that means, but you have heard, if you've watched any amount of HGTV, the term seller pays closing costs. And that phrase is incredibly deceptive and misleading, but it's the same concept as seller's concessions. So what that means for you as a buyer is that you're financing in your closing costs. The seller's not just agreeing to give you an arbitrary amount of money, but you are basically saying we're going to build up the purchase price to account for some of our closing costs. So for example, and like I said, these numbers are purely based on an example to make it a little bit easier for you to kind of break down. If you wanted to offer, you found your perfect house, you wanted to offer the seller $100,000, that's how much you want to give them, but you want to ask for $3,000 to go towards your closing costs, you can say, look, we'll write the contract for $103,000, but $3,000 as the agent would write in goes towards your closing costs, so the seller only gets $100,000. One of the risks is that the bank that you're getting your loan through still has to value the house at that $103,000. So when they do their appraisal and they send out the appraiser to run the comparables and give a value of the house, it has to be that total $103,000. It can't be just the $100,000 you're giving the seller, it has to be the total amount. And we've seen situations where it happens that's the case and situations where it doesn't. So it all depends on how much you're asking for to build the contract up and the location of the house and a lot of different variables. But it can help you in that it's a chunk of money that you don't have to bring to closing that you can use for other things, or you can maybe get a better return on in another account. It can be beneficial in that way, but at the same time, it's not free money either because it's part of your mortgage. You're paying for it over the life of the loan with the interest and whatnot. So you're going to ultimately be paying it off because your loan amount will have included some of those closing costs. You also can't ask for indefinite amounts of money, and you have to specify, exactly how much you do want, and depending on the loan amount, it varies how much you can ask for. So certain loan programs will only allow you to get certain percentages of the purchase price towards your closing costs. And like I said, that all depends on what loan you're getting, and that can be discussed more with the real estate agent, myself, and the lender. So that's something to think about. Like I said, it's a good and a bad thing depending on your situation. It's the seller basically agreeing to allow you to finance in some of your closing costs, but you also, like I said, are taking on a larger loan amount in order to have that convenience. If you guys have any questions about any of this, please feel free to give me a call, and we look forward to helping you in the future. Thanks.